Hello and welcome to the Justice Factor. The new police minister, Nathi, says he's done with calls for police to shoot to kill. He wants a new professional kind of police officer, and he'll explain his plans right here on the Justice Factor. After that, as usual, we'll have our winner and loser of the week. First, though, we look at Cyril Ramaphosa's appearance at the Marikana inquiry today. Here to help me assess the implications is Times Media Group's Niren Tolsi. Niren, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Justice.
Concomitant action. That was the key words that Cyril Ramaphosa used in his emails. Did you find him convincing that he wanted the police to just do their jobs?
I suppose it's very easy to explain away in that manner, to say, well, you know, his suggestion was that his real concern was around there being no further killings, not calling for concomitant action in I suppose, a way that our more cynical people would imagine. He was very much like a sort of opening batsman, sort of, you know, killing the new ball threat and just sort of playing a straight defensive, forward defensive until and then sort of just, I suppose, flicking away the more pesky questions.
And how did the miners lawyers take it? Did they manage to push him to a position where he said, look, perhaps admitted that, you know, I might have been wrong to push for this concomitant action?
Yeah. I'm not convinced that they pushed him to that extent. I mean, there was no concession on that. But what I find really interesting about that series of emails, and it came up in evidence leader Jeff Budlander's cross-examination of Ramaphosa, where he looked at the transcript of a conversation between Lonmin executives like Bernard Mokoena and Lieutenant General Mbombo, you know, where she raised serious concerns around what would happen if Malema came to the copy and it was resolved, and the political mileage that he would get out of that. Now, you know, we've always focused on Ramaphosa and the fact that he exerted political pressure. But I think in any democracy, and we know democracy has been around for a long time, people with political connections will exert political pressure. But the question that I think has been evading a lot of us is, how do our police respond to that political pressure? Do they manage it in a way that says, look, we're dealing with it, you're the politician, but we're going to deal with it and deal with it? Or do they go, look, there's pressure from above, how do we act? How do we make sure that Malema doesn't get any mileage out of this? You know, we need to act quickly, as Mbombo said on the 16th. So, I mean, I think the real question there is also how, and which comes back to accountability, transparency and independence of our institutions. You know,
how do we judge an email and conversations like that?
Yeah.
That you know, they come across as being pretty, you know, I want the law to take its course.
Yeah.
Of course, every citizen wants that. But then, are we saying it's beginning to show that yes, the police were acting in line with that? He put pressure on not just the police minister, the mining minister, Susan Shabangu at the time. There was a lot of pressure on both of them to act.
Sure. I agree with you. There was a lot of pressure, but how that pressure is managed, and also I think there's probably more important evidence that has emerged in the commission prior to Mr. Ramaphosa's testimony that would certainly suggest that there's a very dangerous relationship, and in terms of especially whose interests are being taken care of when it comes to police and lawmen, and what Dali Mpofu suggested is a toxic collusion.
Let's talk about Cyril Ramaphosa himself. Did he seem phased? Did he seem calm? What does this do to his perhaps ambitions of one day leading the ANC and maybe South Africa?
He seemed to be very controlled. Nothing really flustered him. He, like I said, you know, he batted with a very straight bat. He handled the questions, reasonably well, I think. I mean, he stuck to his guns. I mean, there was no...
Did he find any
There was deflection, though. There was deflection at times. For example, sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I mean, a prime example, I think, was raised when the LRC were cross-examining him. And they raised the issue that, look, you have a long, very important struggle history, especially in the trade union movement. You now, Shanduka are now BE partners in Lonmin's enterprise in Marikana, and you chairperson of the Transformation Committee at Lonmin. One of the things that you should be overseeing is obviously the social labor plans. You know, the transformation of the socioeconomic existence or the context of the miners.
Yeah.
As transformation chair, as
shareholder,
and as somebody who has led one of the biggest strikes in this country and who knows the ravages, and you've mentioned as much, and he admitted as much at Marikana, the ravages of the migrant labor system and the fact that, you know, the socioeconomic conditions don't work.
Can I stop you there? Is he self-aware that as a you know, Tito Mboweni said something in the Financial Mail last week. He said, you know what, as a black person, I don't want anything to do with BEE because people laugh at you as the BEE guy because they call you up when there's a problem. Yeah. Is he self-aware about that kind of conversation in South Africa that, you know, you're a BEE guy, so you're brought in to just be the political blackface?
Yeah, I think he is aware of it, and I think he's been aware of it as Deputy President as well, just looking at some of the speeches he's made during his tenure. I mean, I think he's painfully aware of it. Was he aware of it at the time or when Marikana was sort of exploding in our faces? Perhaps less so. I mean, some of the, if you look at some of the emails, if you look at it just plainly looking at them, you would think that maybe, well, you know, here's a man who's being used as a blackface to, you know, to ensure certain political pressure happens, certain resolutions occur at the end of the day.
Niren Tolsi, thanks so much. You've been working away at the Marikana Commission for a long time. I hope you visit us again.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
After the break, we asked Police Minister Nathi if he can clean up the mess at the SA Police Services.
News that moves. ENCA.com.